Hello and welcome to the gallery. My name is Jon and today we are finishing Belakor. It's been a long journey. It's taken over a month to paint the boy, but finally we are on the final few dabs of color, and then we can call him done and move on to the next great thing. So here we are on the final stages finally, starting with the sword to explain all this OSL we've been throwing around both on the model and on the base. Start with a little bit of green on the main body of the sword, and then wet blend a little bit of purple on the tendrils of the flames. And it's a simple project. All of this will be done quite quickly and simply. And as you can see, it looks somewhat okay. Now let's add a little bit of flavor to it using a dark blue shade. Adding that all over the tendrils into the green bits, not all the way to the bottom. And then we just start layering in a little bit lighter green here and there, adding a little bit of yellow and a little bit of verdigris to it. Just thin layers and lots of them. And then we get this flamey type feel to the sword. It's not too complex, it takes a little bit of time, you gotta be patient, but painting is therapy, so why not just take your time with it and enjoy the ride. And as you can see, it's starting to look really good actually. And even more lighter now, we're into pure verdigris with even a little bit of white in it. And for the tendrils, I take a lighter purple color, add some verdigris into it, and just stroke it gently along the edges, just to make it fit a little bit better with the main feel of the sword. And for the greener part of the tendrils, I take the lightest green color, add some verdigris to that as well, and connect it to the other one. One might say I like verdigris a lot. It's a fun Vallejo color. And now for the NMM portion of the armor, well, the silvery portion of the armor, we're going for a green silver look, so we start with a dark green, adding a little bit of white to it every so often. And you have to do this by feeling. You have to find where you feel like the lighter bit should be. And this is a simple non-metallic metal way to do this. Always adding a little bit of more white to the paint, always thinning it out a little bit and just layer after layer after layer. And on the final bit, just pure white for the brightest portions. And like I said, this is a quick and dirty NMM look. It's not the best, but looks okay. Now we're adding a little bit of green glaze to this part of the model because we're trying to keep in the OSL effect that we got from the sword on the other bits. And for all the chains and the chainmail and the jewelry, it's even simpler to use this NMM effect. You just paint it in and with a dark green, and then just dab lighter colors here and there. And for the greatest shades, I just throw in a little bit of neon oil. And a little bit of the green glaze on the other side. And for the cloth bit, I really didn't know what I was going to do with this cloth. I didn't feel like more green or more dark, so let's do a little bit of purple. He has a little bit of purple to him and we want to keep the feeling going. So we're wet blending black and purple here to get the deepest, darkest reaches of it. And then after we've added the black to the purple, we start pulling in a little bit of lighter purple colors, starting out with a light purple, like you see, and then adding a little bit of blue and white to the light one, just to make it fade a little bit, because this is such a rich and deep color and it's not really fitting with the shadows and the low-key color that we got going here. And then after all this is done, we add verdigris again, because I like verdigris, right on the edges and on the topmost bits. But we are wet blending it into the purple, so it will lose this color. But I find it's best to keep the same color palette going for the entire model when you're doing it. It makes it more of a cohesive whole. And then for the leather straps and handle, all that we're going the simple way. Just brown, and then a wildwood brown contrast paint on top of it, and we're done. This is a bit that's not that important, it doesn't show that much. Just gonna make it simple, make it nice. And we're going for classic Games Workshop Feng Shui here, skulls everywhere. So throw bone white down on all the skulls, and be careful you don't miss anyone. And then add skeletal horde on top of the skulls, and highlight them again up with bone white. Simple as that, and quick and easy. And of course, where the light is hitting, a little bit of green glaze. And now for the second portion of the NMM, we're going for the goldy bronzy type colors. We start with a brown and black mixed together for a dark brown. Add a little bit of lighter brown to it, just figure out where we're going to put some highlights. And then we're going to add a little bit of yellow to that and a little bit of bone white. We want to keep this as a muted color, not too bright and orangey. And of course, when we're painting for camera, put your finger in the way so we can't see anything. And then we add a little bit of more bone white to the color, and it makes it pop, makes it look a little bit nicer. Add then a little bit of white to everything. Just go for the brightest bit, the brightest edges, and that makes all the gold bits very, very nice. And there we have Belakor, the Dark Master, the first Demon Prince, the father and no wait, this is the book. Oh, here we go. There we have him, Belakor, the Dark Master, the father in shadows, the first Demon Prince. You know what? I'm actually quite happy how this bottle turned out. Been looking at him for weeks when he came out, and now that I have him finally ready, I'm quite proud actually. Thank you very much for joining me here today. There are links in the description for all kinds of stuff, social media, Patreon, all kinds of stuff. You do with it what you will. Like, share, subscribe, and cast it in the fire. But until next time, farewell.